I have over 25,000 Instagram followers, and I'm in the design space, specifically the graphic design space, and I wanted to show you guys some tips and tricks on how to grow on Instagram, growing your graphic design or design profile. The best thing you can do is trial and error to find out which types of posts and videos or reels does best. Well, I'm going to go over some of my best performing posts and talk about why they were good and why some of my other ones were duds. So let's talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about what was the best performing post out of the last 5 years of posting on Instagram. And that's going to be this one right here. It's got 5,268 likes and 65 comments. And what it is a carousel post, so you can have up to 10 carousel post slides. All of my top 5 performing posts are carousel slides. They're not reels. I have a couple of reels that did okay, but it's mostly non-video format. And what the big trick is most of these are highly educational and informational, enough where people will bookmark it and save it, and then all of a sudden the Instagram algorithm will start to serve your post to more people because they are seeing it as valuable. And they're saving it and bookmarking it. That's the most important thing. So as you can see, just really highly packed with information, probably the most of any of my posts I've done. Just try to really provide tons and tons of information in just one place so they don't have to sit there and be spoon-fed these small little bits of information. They can have a post where they can get everything about that particular topic. And of course, at the very end, I try to do some kind of plugging at the end, but I try not to advertise in these informational posts too much. I want it to be not self-promotional because that would defeat the point of trying to get this to be shareable and bookmarkable. So let's look at the insights on this. This is a big number, and I don't know if I can ever beat this number. I hope I do someday, but 359,000 people reached on this one. That is a huge number. That's almost 500,000 people with one little post about layout design. But it was so informational that people shared it, and it wasn't too promotional, so they felt like they could share it with their audience and not feel like they're sharing an ad or advertising me. So what I like to look at is profile visits. So there was almost 3,000 profile visits. That's 3,000 people that can come check out my other stuff and check out my other work. We have 12,220 bookmarks. Holy moly, that is a lot of people that save this for later. That means this post is somewhere on somebody's saved list and they can always go back to it later. That is the most important metric of everything is bookmark. Then it goes to shared, then it goes to comments, then it goes to likes. Although shares always, kind of gets those numbers up higher for you. So let's look at this for a minute. From the 383,000 impressions, 212 was from home, 160 was from explore, and only 4,500 are from hashtags, which means hashtags can be nice to give you maybe 5% more engagement and exposure, but the hashtags are just losing relevancy, and I still use them. I still pick some good mix of hashtags that are popular and maybe not as popular, but honestly, it's only 5 to 10% of my total exposure on Instagram. Let's keep going. Let's see what else was popular and what was unpopular, because I think we can learn a lot more from what was unpopular than sometimes we can from what was popular. So another popular one is very, very similar, and it's right here. It's very similar. It's a carousel. It's highly informational packed. This one was about the anatomy of typography. You can see the very first slide is just absolutely packed. Still readable. I wouldn't want to put any more on here as it will probably start to become unreadable. But as you slide through, everything is packed with information. It's educational. It's shareable. It's not promotional. I'm not showing off just one project. And I think that is what worked with this one as well. So look at this font pairing. That's just one slide of 10. So it's like having 10 posts packed into one when you do a 10 slide carousel post. And I've actually seen other top creators share that carousel posts are performing better than reels for them. They say a lot, video does great, but I'm not seeing video doing really great for me. So that's kind of something to think about. So let's look at the insights for this one. Not as exciting as the last one, but still almost 250,000 people reached. That is an incredible amount of reach that I just did not have before I started posting these carousel informational posts. And you'll see that sharing is huge. When I get to that 500 share kind of benchmark, that's when it really explodes and you get the hundreds of thousands of viewers. And I don't really, I mean, likes are nice, but I just ignore them. And comments, of course, are very important. But really, shares and bookmarks, that's what I really am concerned about for posts that I consider to go viral. So let's keep going. There is another informational carousel post that did okay. If you look at the insights on this one, it's still pretty solid at 30,000 people reached. Not as great as the other ones, but still a lot of bookmarks. This is the same thing. I thought color really tends to attract people when I post about color. This one did not perform as well, and I can't really tell you why. Mostly because, I mean, it is information packed, but maybe it's just not as dense as the other ones. So maybe that's why it didn't perform as well. A lot of this is a little bit more entry level kind of stuff. This graphic though, alone, I think a year ago I posted this psychology of color chart. Once again, super dense with information. That on its own did super well as well. So because it's just so dense, but yet readable. When I do lists, those tend to do really well. So this is kind of a recommendation of who to follow in graphic design. And this was a solid post. Let's take a look at the insights. 38,000 reach. That's pretty darn good. 21 or almost 2,200 bookmarks. Not shared as much as the other one in terms of comparing these two metrics. So it's not as shareable, but I think the bookmarkable is really good because they have 2,200 people have this somewhere saved where they can go back and look at it later. They'll continue to come back to my profile. That's what we want when we're trying to grow an Instagram account. So these lists tend to do very well. Once again, there's a theme with every single one of these, and that's this density. It's very densely packed with great information. Another one that did well, since that list did well, and I do this a lot, if I have something that's successful, I try it again and again until it's not successful anymore. So I tried it again with the list. I did logo design. Let me see if I can find it. Here's the one on logo design. It wasn't as successful because graphic design is a bigger topic than logo design. Logo design is a subset or a subtopic of graphic design. So obviously the broader your topics are, the more potential reach and interest you may have. So another strong post, once again informational packed, was graphic design books I recommended. But instead of just saying, here's a book, I recommend it, I had a little blurb that talked about why I recommended the book. And I thought this did really well. It gave me a chance to kind of advertise my little book without being super promotional. So it's kind of a way to sneak that promotion in without making it look like an ad. But I also had these other great recommendations because I get this question asked a lot by students is what graphic design books do I recommend? And I was also able to tag some of the creators. I follow a lot of the creators of the books, and I was able to kind of tag them, and they were able to come back on comment. And some of these people are pretty big graphic design names, and I was able to kind of get them in my comments as well because I was able to tag them because I recommended their book. So that's kind of something to do, is to recommend something that a creator has done, tag them, hopefully, get them to respond to your post or interact with your post somehow. So another one that I decided to do, and this idea for this post, and a lot of really good posts come from ideas of questions I get a lot from people over and over again. And one of those questions was, how long does it take to complete design projects? So I decided to make this infographic. It took about 2 hours to put it together. But I think it was worth the investment of 2 hours because the reach I got with this post and on Facebook was pretty good. On Facebook, I actually got a really good response on this because Facebook tends to really love informational packed posts. Instagram, they love it too, but Facebook even more. So let's take a look at the insights on this one. This has 45,000 reached and 73% was not following me. So that's a great percentage. You want to have more people not following you, looking at your content so they can become followers. That's a very important aspect. So I want to shift gears. I've talked a lot about carousel posts and single image posts. I want to talk a little bit about Reels. Everybody's been saying how amazing Reels are, how amazing video is. And in some cases, that's kind of true, but I have not experienced that as much. The great thing about Reels, if you do enough Reels, they'll invite you to be part of the bonus program, where the Reels bonus program, where you get paid per reel play. And the first $100 is super easy to get because you just need about 30,000 reel plays. But after that, it starts to get really hard and you need like millions just to get an extra $100. So I'm able to generate at least $100 by posting 3 or 4 reels a month, so I find that worthwhile to do them. But even so, I don't find them as successful in terms of reaching more people. So let's take a look at some of the ones that were more successful. So this one was a psychology of color, which I took that graphic and I was able to walk through different things about color, just basically walk through that one graphic, but with a video and a reel. And that tended to do okay. It had about 12,000 views. I thought that was pretty strong. There's a lot of duds here, a lot of things where I post personal stuff about going on a hike or my vacation, and those just don't do well because they're not related to my topic of graphic design. They're very personal. It's like what an influencer would post. I don't consider myself an influencer where I just post about my lifestyle. So they just don't do well. And so I want to do those posts because they're kind of fun and interesting and a break from graphic design. But I'm getting away from my niche. I'm getting away from my topic and they don't do well at all. So this one did really well. I was able to create this poster and I ordered it and actually have it for sale if you want to get it on Society6. But I was able to roll this out, take some pictures of it. And even though this is kind of like a product advertising, for some reason it really resonated with people and it had some pretty good views on it. And so that I think had 17 or 15,000, 15,000 views. And then there's some that I thought would be good. Affinity Designer, which is an alternative to Adobe, came out with this new big software update. And so I talked about everything that was new in it. It just didn't do well because, it's kind of a secondary software, although I love Affinity software. Most of my students, most of my audience uses Adobe, and it just did not connect with the majority of my audience. And I have to try to figure out, and I have to try to remind myself to connect most with the majority of what my audience likes, even though I enjoy posting about these other things. That's about it. There's nothing else really significant. I don't have any reels with more than 20,000 views, and if I do, I will tell you how I did that if I ever get that someday. But right now, I'm kind of more focused on what's working, which is the carousel post. So obviously, when I advertise, and I do a direct advertise, it's obvious that I'm selling something. Those never do well, and those do well if you want to boost the post and do some paid money to continue to boost the post. But if you're just looking for organic followers, it never does well to do a direct dedicated post that advertises. So what I've done lately is I do my informational post, and at the very end, I'll advertise. And that does so much better than this, where it's just a straight out ad. People see that, they're like, I'm not interested, and they move on and they don't engage with the post, and it doesn't do very well. So this one only has 174 likes, and the reach is probably low compared to what I was showing you. So what I like to do is stealth, I guess you call it stealthy advertising, where you kind of pack it in somewhere at the end of something, or you have them download a PDF and then at the end you're selling something. That's another method as well, is to give away something free and then you have a little plug at the very end after you've given them value. Also another one, I really got to talk to you about this. I posted some things about crypto, and I also posted some things about kind of some new emerging trends that are very controversial. So one was this crypto one, which I actually lost a lot of followers when I posted this, because a lot of people are like, well, I love crypto and I'm a follower and I can't believe you weren't a believer in crypto. And I lost a lot of people that way. So I have to remember, okay, half my audience loves crypto, half of them hate it. I can't post something that says I'm for something and expect the other audience to respect that, unless it's something I truly believe in. And this is just something, I don't know, I'm on the fence. So I probably shouldn't have posted something so strong. But another thing I did was AI generated artwork. I experimented with Midjourney, and I did a post on just exploring my process of generating AI art, and I had a lot of my audience get really, really upset. And when you look at my unfollows and my follows chart, you'll see this huge drop of people actually lost more followers that day than I gained it, because I talked about a controversial subject, and a lot of people are offended by AI art taking over really hardworking artists. And I got some amazing conversations going, huge amount of awesome conversations with people who know me, and they know that I'm not out against anybody or for anything. That was good, and I had some of the best engagement with this post, but it also had a lot of people unfollow me. And so I just have to be careful about picking topics that I 100% believe in and not like half and half, especially when they're controversial. This one I packed with information. It's about, is a logo project worth $100 or $10,000? And the answer is determined by value. And I actually took this from another book I wrote, and I just packed this thing with lots of really good examples. And I thought it was going to do well, but this post did not perform as well. And I was kind of disappointed because I spent a lot of time on it. And one of the things I realized is the difference between the posts that were very successful and this one is very, very word heavy. It's not as visual. It doesn't have as much infographics to it. It has some, but I think that was discouraging in the Instagram format, that I think it was a little too word heavy. So I have to remember, is there a way I can break down my graphics and make them more visual and create infographics out of paragraphs? And I think that would have helped this do better. So another thing is engaging your audience. So you have bookmarks and shares, which is really what helps posts go viral. Unfortunately, comments don't help as much as you would think, but it's really good for your current audience to engage with you and you to engage with them. So every once in a while, I'll do a conversational-based post to kind of break up all those informational-based posts and any kind of promotional posts I do. And this was just, what should I focus on next? And this had more comments than not anything I posted, but it had a lot of really good feedback and engagement. The post didn't perform super well, but I feel really good. I got a great suggestions from people and direction, and I was just able to have conversations with every single person, always get back to every single commenter unless they're spam. That always helps the algorithm, maybe not as much as I was hoping, but it still helps to comment on every comment, heart every comment, really, really get engaged. So once again, here's a post that I thought would do really well because I spent hours on this post. It's important moments in modern graphic design history, and I spent hours researching this and getting graphics and getting it all together, and it just didn't perform as well. And I'm thinking, once again, it's the word heaviness of it. I needed to find a way to break this down into infographics. It's just too much. This is when that information densely packed thing I was talking about earlier, you can go overboard on it. And this is a good example because I thought this is great. So what I did is I took all that work and I put it in my courses, and people can use it. It wasn't wasted. This creativity wasn't wasted. This post wasn't wasted. I was sad it didn't do as good on Instagram. So this one might be a little tough to hear because I thought that posting some of my personal work would get the most views because, hey, people are interested in my work. And what I found out is that's not so much the case. And I think that's the case for a lot of creators. Some creators have really unique styles and people really love them and eat them up. So I was experimenting with 3D. I decided to post my work, and I just got really, really low engagement numbers with pretty much every time I just posted work because there was not much to it. It's, let me see if I can find another one. I mean, there's not like a whole lot to it. Like, here's some work, you can like it, you might comment and say, oh, I like it, or how did you create it? But there's not a whole lot of engagement or reason to respond to a project unless you just overwhelmingly love it. So I just feel like it's not shareable. If it's an amazing, top-notch project, maybe it's shareable. And I still encourage you guys to post your work because it can still do really well if you post your work. But just don't think that that's the only way to post design projects is to just post your work and that's it. You've got to post informational posts so you can establish yourself as a qualified expert. And that's a really great way to find exposure to possible client work, is to kind of post a variety of things, figure out what works for you. And I'm just a firm believer of posting information and just kind of solidifying yourself as an expert in the field. And that's probably the best way to establish yourself as a professional and get that extra client work. But also mix some personal projects in there too. But don't treat Instagram like a portfolio. You have a portfolio, whether it's on Behance or it's on your own website. And you might have a separate account that just posts your work. But if you're really looking to grow an audience and to grow yourself as a professional, do a mix. Do a mix of education and some insights into the industry and things to look out for and those type of posts, because I think you'll do really good with those. So there you have it. I just wanted to share with you some insights so that you can kind of cheat a little bit and get to all the 5 years of work that I did with posting, what worked, what didn't work, and kind of take that and use it to grow your own Instagram so that and TikTok and all these other things too. I mean, any kind of social media platform. I think a lot of these posts I put on Facebook too, and some of them did better on Facebook, and some of them did better on Instagram, and you're just going to figure out which ones do better through time. But I just wanted to record a quick video that shared kind of some more insights, trying to kind of create videos that help you monetize or help you grow professionally with your design skills. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you want me to create more like this, a little more behind the curtain, behind the scenes of how I have grown in the last few years, and how you can grow yourself.